Hello, beautiful soul. I'm Vicki Howie of chakraboosters.com, the creator of Chakra Boosters Healing Tattoos. And today I'm with Leisa Peterson, who is the owner of wealthclinic.com, the creator of the I Prosper Method, and the author of The Mindful Millionaire. Thanks for being with me, Leisa.
Thanks for having me.
So Leisa and I, if you've been following our series, this is the fifth chakra on our series on the money lens that you look through for each chakra. And if you haven't seen the others, I'll make sure that the playlist link is below so you can see those. And also I have a great Mindful Millionaire interview with Leisa, and I'll also put the link for that below. Okay, Leisa, to start us out, will you talk about first what is a money lens, and then talk to us also about what just is the throat chakra?
Beautiful. So as we know, chakras, this system of maturation, that I've become fascinated over the past few years with, and the model that I created was taking all these years of my financial planning, helping people with their money, and smashing it up against the chakras. So the idea is with the throat chakra, here we are in the expression lens, and this is a really cool space because the way that my model works is one builds upon another. And so we're working our way into a more conscious relationship with money. The lower chakras are the practical aspects, like managing your money and making sure that you're saving and that you're being able to make enough money that you can save money, right? And managing it. But now we're getting into these higher levels of thinking, and then how that plays out with our money and investing. This is when investing really comes into the equation.
Great.
So does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. There's a natural progression. And so you've taken care of the nuts and bolts, and now we're getting into the more consciousness around it. And also sounds like we're getting into where there's bigger decisions about more abundance, because now our basic needs have been met. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. If you think about the heart chakra, and we were talking about like earning and being well paid for your efforts. And so now you've got all of those parts of your relationship with money in alignment. Now you've got abundance, right? You've got more money, and it's being saved, and it's wanting to be invested, because when you can reach the place where your money is making money for you rather than just putting it in a bank account, right? That's not what we want to do with our money. We don't want to put it under the mattress. We don't want to just have it in a savings account where we're getting simple interest that might be like almost nothing. We want to be able to find ways to have our money make money. That's what we're doing here.
And when we do that, isn't it true, Leisa, that we're also in this more, we're getting into consciousness now. So we're actually, by putting our money back into the economy in different ways, we are then also giving back. We're having a higher vision of what our money can do.
Definitely. Yeah. It's a great, exciting time. And you can even think of it like the throat chakra at level 1 and throat chakra at level 10. And like someone like myself who's been focused on money for, my whole entire career. So like 30 years, I'm moving into like level 8, 9, and 10, but most people aren't there yet. You're just starting with the foundation and the principles of a balanced chakra in this space. And then you're going to build upon it for years to come. That's the cool thing about this work, is you start where you're at and then you grow into it.
So in this interview, can you speak a little more to that level, since I think probably most of us are more in that level, or at least let us know the distinction. So will you share with us just a little, the general idea of what the throat chakra is, and then I'll have some more questions about the lens.
So it's the expression lens. It also ties into what I would say is significance, like taking up space in the world is the way I feel into significance. So this lens ties into the trust that we have both for ourselves as well as for others. So the way that I think about this with money is around, managing money, for example, is the thing that I focused in on a lot here, where you can have a situation where you feel like you're the only one, you can't trust anybody out there in the world to manage your money, to the other extreme, which is I don't know anything. I can't trust myself. And therefore I have to abdicate everything to someone else.
Okay. Okay. So, and we've been talking a lot in this series about the overactive and the underactive. So I'm assuming so the overactive is the controlling, like only I can do this right.
Yes, a very like righteous, like, don't tell me what to do. I know what to do. I'm not going to ask for help. You know, I don't trust other people's guidance. I only trust my own. And, you know, keep in mind, I was a financial advisor. And so these parts of the model that they come from my own experience of sitting in front of somebody and feeling how they had an out of balance chakra, right? Like,
right. Could you just feel them doing this? Like,
yeah, they were like,
asking for
I don't trust you. I don't trust you. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. You might be a really nice person, but like, I don't trust you. Like, I could feel that as an empath. Yeah. And I'm like, well, what's going on here? Because then other people are like listening to everything you say and trusting every word to the point where you're like, you should be asking more questions. Like, you should not be trusting me this well.
I love how you were like taking care of them on both sides.
Yeah, I'm like, oh gosh, what's happening? But this went on for years of me seeing this, but not having any context of like what was going on. You know, just thinking there's something here. It's uncomfortable for me. It's uncomfortable for them. But like, this is the beauty of the book. Like, I unpack this in a whole new way of thinking so that people can be like, where am I at? Where am I at on this spectrum? Do I have to control everything and worry about like nobody being able to help me with money? And I see this a lot. Like, I just had a class this past couple of days and a woman said, I have reached multi-millionaire status and I don't trust anybody. There's a lot of devious people out there. They're going to take advantage of me. Now, what's funny, right, is we go deeper into chakra stuff and we realize, right, that if we have this belief about the rest of the world, we have this uncanny way of like attracting those people into our lives, reinforcing the belief system that people are not trustworthy.
Right on, sister. I mean, you can say it for a million different reasons, but there's no question, even if you just go with the fact that we can only perceive a small part of reality and we're going to perceive the parts we believe in, right? So it's like, wow, thank you for saying that. I want that to just settle for a second. But just to be really clear, Leisa, because these are complex things that you're bringing up, but you're bringing them up in a very refreshingly simple way. But I just want to reiterate it. I'm imagining us putting the little, the words onto me editing later and putting the words. So the overactive is the controlling, like what words would you put on exactly? It's, I don't trust anyone else to have control of my money.
Yes. Exactly.
I have to do it myself, and the beliefs behind it are people are they'll do something devious or they aren't competent enough. Is that like, what are the
not competent enough, not trustworthy enough, not skilled enough, they don't know my situation, you know, that sort of thing.
Okay. And so, and then the underactive throat chakra person will come at it the other way and give up too much control. And that sounds, you know, what's interesting is I'll bet you could give me a story about that. But I'd also wonder, could you give me a story of what someone's actually missing when they don't take the opportunity to work with a good financial advisor or to trust someone? Can you give us examples on both?
Yeah. So the underactive is I don't trust myself. And sometimes that belief can merely come from the fact that you have not received a lot of financial education. And so you don't know how to do it. You've got the money, some money saved up, but you don't have any wherewithal. And you mistake not having financial education with not having wisdom.
Oh, I love this, Leisa. I love this. Okay, let's just let that sit. So I get what you're saying. What you're saying is that education is there, and especially in the age of Google, in the age of the internet, and we still have so many books too, that if we mistake that just because I don't know it means I don't have the intelligence about what's right for me, and probably you're going to say that we could read a few books like The Mindful Millionaire and get very clear and move forward in a really wise and slightly educated way.
Totally. That idea that you're probably not that far away from being educated enough
Mhm.
to even, like, a simple thing would be, I don't have all the answers. I know the things I don't know. And when I go in to ask a financial advisor, interview them, I'm going to go in with some set questions to ask them, because if I can get a read on their response to these questions, then I'm going to feel more comfortable, like, being engaged with them. Like, are they
Mhm.
going to educate me rather than tell me what to do? Like, just by opening up this throat chakra and, like, becoming more engaged, right? Speaking your truth and saying, I might not understand what you're doing, but I am going to be wanting you to handhold guide me through this process as I learn. And that's my expectation as a client of
Mm.
yours.
Oh, wow. Lisa, this feels really like so simple and deep at the same time for me. I'm like, when you said, I don't have all the answers, and you said that person has to bring in the questions. You might not have all the answers, but you know the questions that you need answered to feel comfortable with the person you're working with. Correct?
Totally. So the
Ah.
more you know yourself, the more you know what's important to you, the more the things you know that you don't know, the better
Mm.
questions you can ask and put them in that position of being more, because the problem with financial advisors, because I was one,
Mm.
is there's a lot of platitudes in that business where they just tell you, right, what you want to hear rather than what you really need to hear to know if there's a connection between you and that person.
I love that. Can you out the industry a little bit and give me just a couple platitudes? Like what kinds of things when I hear, I go, oh, okay, I need to go below this. I need to get deeper.
Yeah. So a perfect example would be they show you all the great numbers of what the stock market has done for the past 10 years, for example. And
Mhm.
they kind of puff themselves up in the fact that you are going to get these sorts of returns, even though they can't say that. They're going to show you things that look fabulous. And that's what you want to hear. But in reality, what you really need to hear is, like, how are you going to treat me when the market loses 30 or 40% in one day or 2 days, like recently happened? What
Mm.
are you going to do for me? Are you going to call me proactively, or do I need to call you? Like, what's going to happen when things aren't going well? And how
Ah.
often have things not gone well? And what should
Oh.
I be prepared for when, upsets occur in the economy? Like, what does that
Mm.
look like? They're not going to tell
Mm.
you that unless you ask.
Ah, I love it. And you can feel into whether if it feels really true when they're giving you the answers to that. Like you said, you're not using it to get particular answers, but to feel kind of how it feels to you, the relationship in
Yeah.
the answers. Wow, Lisa, that is so, so good. Are there any actual verbal platitudes that you can think of that they'll say, like, like there's a quote that you've heard come out of mouths more than once?
Oh, I think I drowned them out because I'm sure there are. Maybe people listening can tell us
Give
things
us
that they've heard, right?
in the
From a financial advisor. And they were like,
I love it.
that saying, like, you're blowing smoke up my skirt. Like, don't, like, share those, because
Mm.
they are there. And it's like, they're meant to be like, everything's fine. The market, don't worry. The market always comes back. It's like, well,
Mm.
that's not very helpful when the market's down, when you're really stressed, because it's so, it's like, okay, well, show me the details of that.
Yeah,
Like,
show
let
me
me
how it happened
understand.
before, or like you were saying, show me the trend, show me, and let me know you're going to call me back. You don't even necessarily need to be the proactive one calling me, but if I call you, are you going to call me back?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's interesting because in this last run, there were some changes I wanted to make to my portfolio. And I was working with a big company and I'm managing the portfolio, but I am ending up changing the way that I work with them, because what happened was I wanted to talk to an advisor. And it's called Robo Advising, where it's kind of standardized and you're not paying very much service fees for the advice. And I
Hmm.
oversee it because I know investing. But what happened was I did want to make a change. And when I called in to make a change, they scheduled an appointment out like 2 weeks later. And because they were so slammed. And that sent me into like, this is not a good fit for me. Like you're basically saying, I can't talk to an advisor. I can only make rash decisions like of like, I'm wondering about a few things that I want to change, but I can't talk to anybody for 2 weeks. That was unacceptable to me. Like that was worth a lot of money. And I think I made some choices that I really regretted making because I couldn't talk to somebody. And again, it's like sometimes you do need to be talked off the ledge. And I will be the first one to admit that like, I know so much about finances that sometimes it also doesn't help me. Like there's times where you're like, don't be in your head, just like, so these are the things like I didn't know. And I had to go through that and realize that wasn't a good fit for me. Like, and I am moving my assets to a different company.
You're making a great point. You also, like any other relationship, can change at any point. You're going to change as a person as to how much control or how much closeness you need or whatever. Because like my heart hurt when you said that. I was like, oh, I want Leisa to have access to someone, like it made me feel bad for you. So yeah, so it can change. We don't have to, it's not like a relationship. We have a relationship because I think sometimes, Leisa, we get intimidated by doctors, financial advisors, certain areas where for some reason we've really put these areas up in our culture. I know I can get intimidated. And what we might do is avoid even changing the relationship. Like our needs aren't being met. But so thank you for bringing up that you just said, hey, this isn't working for me, even at a psycho-emotional level, let alone just the practical that it costs me. But I want to have access to somebody. So I'm so glad you said that.
Yes.
Yeah. So so that is talking about the side of somebody who is actually working with somebody. And that's actually kind of the healthy place we're trying to hit, is where you're referring to yourself, but you're also finding people that have more knowledge in this area than you. Is that the ideal, to be able to do both?
I think so. Like knowing enough. And then, I mean, back to the point where I said, this is when you've got we've got enough assets that you're realizing that you need assistance because you don't feel like you know enough. So it's that balance of being able to get some help and then also ask really good questions and kind of come into this middle ground. And the other piece, I think the story, like one of the things that really inspired me to dive in and understand the throat chakra better was this book that I had read, Lost and Found by Janine Roth. And she is a coach focused on weight loss mostly, but she got into interest in the money relationship. And this book was her diving into her experiences of losing all her money as a result of Bernie Madoff in a Ponzi scheme. And I used her experiences of what she shared in her writing about that experience to really see all the complexity in the throat chakra, because I knew she was dealing with throat chakra, and that kind of guided me back to, this is about finding this beautiful space in between, right? The balanced in between, where we know enough, we're learning how to trust ourselves. We're using money as part of that proxy to become more familiar with something that we may not have been familiar with in the past. And we're going out and finding advisors that we can trust. And so we're playing with, like, how much do you trust yourself? How much do you trust other people? And using that as a lifelong lesson for those of us who may have trust issues. And I'll put my hand up.
Well, I'm not saying I'm to that place, definitely, but I would probably put myself more on the one who's always trying to do it myself, kind of. So, okay, so that's pretty much what we've usually been looking at, is the overactive, the underactive, and the healthy. So you beautifully described the healthy. Is there anything else you'd like to add for this particular chakra in regard to the money lens?
I would say, even though we've been talking about having, money for investing, I always want to encourage people as soon as they possibly can to start some kind of investing account, early in life. Like the data that you inspired me to do some research about, it's so amazing, because if we start saving in our 20s, we don't have to save that much on a monthly basis in order to have that add up substantially by the time we're 65. 25. So no matter where we are, please at least try a little bit of investing, because until you do it, you won't actually know the challenges that you're going to face and the help that you need. So start as soon as possible with $1,000. That's all you need.
The adult version. I love the daily increments like you talked about. If we just like, if you're 20s and you're doing, not having your Starbucks coffee, instead you're investing that every single day. Like you're a millionaire at, I can't remember what age, is like 50s or something. It's ridiculous with compounding interest, right?
Yeah.
So almost like this is the adult version of that little piggy bank. When you're a kid, it seems like nothing. You put a penny in, a dime, a nickel, but as long as you stay consistent with it, pretty soon your piggy bank can't fit anything else in it, and you have to break it open or open the bottom and let it all out and bring it to the bank or whatever. It's like, how did that happen? It grew into something. So I love that, but it seems like, is it Gen X, Y, Z? I can't keep track of the generations anymore, but it seems like that's not being emphasized so much anymore. Something about our now culture. What are you finding with that? Just real quick, I wanted to see in terms of the idea around savings with the younger people. Are they more aware or less in saving?
I think that they're more aware, but just because you're aware doesn't mean you're doing it.
Yeah.
The cost of living for young people is very, very high in comparison to maybe their wages. So they're struggling to find ways to save money. And if you live a traditional lifestyle and you have all the bells and whistles that I think we've come to expect, maybe if we grew up in a home where we were comfortable, and that is your standard of living when you start out, like imagine you go from like somebody who's in their 50s, myself, my daughter, she's going through setting up her own household at, early 20s. And I think what's been happening is her learning what it means to live at a 22-year-old's lifestyle versus what we've provided in our 50s for her. And that is an adjustment that a lot of people have not been prepared for. Thankfully, we live very frugally overall. And so I see the privilege, but I also see how she has trained herself through college. Like one thing I heard early in life, like if you could graduate from college and not change your lifestyle for like 10 years, you could probably retire 10 or 20 years earlier than someone else who doesn't do that.
Whoa, that is brilliant. And when you ask, here's the thing, Leisa, I love that. I love so much of the stuff you're bringing up in this. The thing with that is that also when that kind of lifestyle sometimes makes more room for incredible memories and experiences. When I ask people, when was your best, they talk about when we first got married, when I was in college and my roommate and I did this and that. It's like somehow we think the more stuff, the more all that. And I'm not putting that down. I'm just saying it does not necessarily lead. When you ask people about their memories, sometimes it's that game, that challenge, that struggle, whatever you want to call it. And I've never heard anyone put it the way you just put it, which if you just keep your lifestyle, which can be a fun lifestyle, actually, for 10 years, you could literally retire 10 or 20 years earlier. That's amazing. If we get some young listeners, I wanted to make sure we underline that one.
The ones who do it, and there are plenty of people that do it, and I've met them in the financial blogging community. The ones who do it, the big difference is they don't care what anyone else thinks about the lifestyle they're living. Mm-hmm. They're like, I don't care. I don't care that you care I drive an old car, that
I fall right
apartment.
In that camp. I still do. In this adult age, I still fall in that. I'm in buying experience in life, like I don't care so much about my car. I love my dependable older car. I love where I live. I love having roommates still at this age. I just love roommates.
Well, I will tie the book in here because this is where it's like you write a book and then you start to learn all the ways that it can help people. Mm-hmm. So the reason it's so powerful is that I think many times we go out and live this big life or feel the pressure of the Joneses, breathing down our neck. Like you should have these things. We are more likely to behave that way when there is there's repressed wounding inside of us that has not been seen, looked at, and integrated. And so the Mindful Millionaire is about looking at these areas and pockets of the wounding that have not been addressed and are causing self-sabotage in your, economic development, personally speaking. So if you go into the book and you do the practices, the idea is that you won't care when you heal these repressed kind of trapped things inside of you, which the chakras are helping us do. You won't feel the pressure to behave that way anymore.
Yeah, and it's not just you, Leisa. I want to point out that in the book, you had many people who stood up and came to you and told you your story and worked with you and stuff. So there's so many great examples of how people can work through it. And I've been with you live and seen you work through so many beliefs with people and stuff. So it feels so good to know that we can shift these things, but before we can ever shift anything, we have to pay attention. We have to say, oh, there's something here. And so that's what I'm loving about this series. Just maybe you guys look at all the videos in this series and see, do I sound a little like that overactive or that underactive? And it's real extreme to one side or the other. There's probably, because we all kind of hover in that middle ground and we move back and forth for different reasons. But if it's real extreme, correct me if I'm wrong, Leisa, that then you probably have an underlying experience, a belief around that experience, a self-identity that you now need to look at, and the book helps you do that, correct?
Totally. Like, we're introducing people to this framework through this series, but, and you can have a breakthrough just by listening to us. But I think what we always want to encourage people to do is, if we're speaking to you, like, go to the next step. Like, for $18, like, everything I teach is in this book. And I'm giving a free workshop at the end of July for those who pre-order it. Like, this isn't some gimmick. Like, it was really important to me to give everything out there. This isn't one of those books like, come in, and I'm going to kind of bait you, and then you got to do more with me. Like, you can do more with me, but you get everything I do with people in the book, because it was so important to me that people could literally make a small investment and change their whole entire life as a result.
Wow. And like, I've really observed, at least I really have. So let's, to finish up here, reiterate for people, Leisa just mentioned, and it's true, and depending on when you're watching this, I hope it's not so late that you've missed it, but she's actually going to do a live free course when you pre-order her book, The Mindful Millionaire. You can buy it just about anywhere. You can certainly buy it on Amazon, but you could also go to your mom and pop store somewhere and pre-order, because they can get it too for you. And once you do that, you go to mindfulmillionairebook.com, correct? Yay. There's no "the" in that one. It's just mindfulmillionairebook.com. And I'll also put it here right on the video. And you go there and you can sign up. I can honestly say, you guys, and you that have watched my channel know I don't sell things very much, except my tattoos, which I'm wearing right now and I always wear. So I want to get those out there. Lisa's a huge fan, wears them all the time too. But other than that, I'm not selling. I don't sell things, but I've been to at least 3 of Lisa's events online and have watched her do the work. And I have the highest respect. I have curiosity, heart. When I'm there, I open up. It's just an absolute honor and experience every time that you start to do this work, Leisa. So I know this is your work, and I know I'm going to get all emotional. I know that I'm about to cry. I know everything that you've done in the financial world is part to bring you here, because we're all on this planet ready to stop this crazy separation between material world money and our spiritual world. And I'm going to end it on that before I start bawling. So thank you so much. Are we good? Have we?
Thank you. Yes.
Covered it all. Okay, you guys, go. I've already pre-ordered mine. Go get your book. And please do not miss this opportunity to work for free with Leisa. You will thank me later. We will see you on the next video, which will be for the third eye. Blessings.